Hi everybody, welcome to our review for M3GAN. I am Vincent, a background designer for the Hollywood animation industry.
And I'm Janet, the ex-Disney artist turned independent creator. And make sure to like, subscribe, touch our little bells and buttons down there, please and thank you.
Activate the thumbs up button. So M3GAN is a new horror movie and a new horror character by Universal Studios. Due to unfortunate circumstances, Gemma, a toy designer, adopts her niece Katie. To help take care of her, she creates a robot named M3GAN. M3GAN is a great caretaker until one day she starts to develop a mind of her own.
Ooh.
This was kind of surprising. I wasn't expecting the movie to be this well written, actually. The movie makes a lot of sharp observations about parenthood, modern parenthood, makes a lot of sharp observations about millennial workers in the workforce and their priorities and how they don't really want kids. And it also makes a lot of astute observations about work culture, especially in the design world where you and I know a lot about that, don't we?
Yes.
I wasn't even expecting the writing to be good. I mean, it's a horror movie.
Yeah.
But that was kind of a big shock for me.
My expectations for this movie were that it's gonna be like Chucky, but it's actually not. Not really.
Not
at
really
all
at all like Chucky. Yeah.
It's its own movie about parenting of all things. I thought for sure it was going to be a movie about dolls, because obviously, or a movie about robots, but it's actually a movie about millennials and parenting, and I thought it's a nice surprise. I really liked M3GAN.
I think M3GAN's really cool.
Yeah.
I think she belongs up there with Freddy Krueger, Jason, Michael Myers. She is the freshest villain to come out in a long time, with her own personality, her own lore, and her own motivations that make her very unique and belong up there with the echelon of the great horror villains.
She's also done well design-wise and CG-wise. We watched the original Chucky movie
in preparation for this, as if it did anything.
Yes. Didn't reference it at all.
No, but I guess there's a through line here, because there's some lots of really clever animatronic stuff in Child's Play.
I saw briefly, because you were watching all the trailers of the subsequent Chucky movies.
There's like 7 Chucky movies. I'm not sure
and TV
exactly.
shows.
And oh, it's right, the Chucky TV show too.
Those Chucky, the original Chucky, I thought was really cool because it's all done practically. As far as I know, I don't know if they use any CG in that movie.
Chucky?
Yeah.
No.
No.
It's 88? No.
But all the subsequent ones, Chucky is like sometimes fully CG, or sometimes the CG is trying to look like toy texture, and it doesn't come across well. I think M3GAN looks really great. She obviously has very uncanny valley aspects to her, but she's supposed to.
Yeah, it seems like it was designed to make us feel uncomfortable when we look at her.
I mean, there's so many jokes in the movie where her uncanny valley just scares people.
Yeah, they almost think she's a real person, and then they're like, what? You're not real.
And I think it's really cool. It reminds me a little bit of Alita Battle Angel. But like done almost like the fact that she looks so good next to real characters. Like I never for a second thought, oh, that's just like a CG character. What did you dislike about the movie?
I didn't think the movie was scary at all. In fact, that I was more enthralled by the characters and the motivations and everything. But like, in terms of the selling point of this is a horror movie, not very scary, not very, and like this is a robot who is made out of titanium, and like I think you could imagine all sorts of gory kills for this one, but like the kills are very tame. I think I read an article or something like that on the Twitter going like, oh yeah, there was like a rated R version of M3GAN, but the PG-13 version's even scarier. Bullshit. You want to sell tickets to the Zoomers, and you probably are successful by the time this video comes out. You probably made a good amount of. People are saying you made 20 million. I want to believe you made more than 20 million, because like for the first time since Top Gun, when we watched this movie, we were surrounded by like a good hefty amount of people, good amount of folks, and they were all Zoomers.
Kids.
Yeah.
Watching with their boyfriends, watching with their friends on a Thursday night.
But like, there was never a moment where the crowd went ee or ooh. It was very just like, it was mostly laughs. Lots and lots of laughs. But it's good though. Yeah. Like, it's not a bad thing. And we're not laughing at the movie. The movie tells some funny jokes. But yes, I wanted the movie to be a little bit more scary, a little bit more vicious and creative with the people M3GAN kills and things like that. So that was really disappointing for me.
For me, my main as you can tell, we like this movie. What brought the score down for me was that it's predictable. When you've watched as many horror movies as we have, there's like
tropes, man.
Yeah,
there's like, oh, it's dead. Just kidding. Just kidding, not dead.
And like there are different categories of horror movies, and you can fit like the gore porn horror movies to be a certain way, and then there's a blockbuster horror movie, which is basically what this is, and the
indie horror movie.
Yeah, the
A24's
more
elevated horror. Is what they say in the Scream. Yes.
And like it's my favorite movies are when it does the best of what its niche genre is, but either does it really well or subverts it really well. This just does it well. Like, not really well, just well. In that, like, M3GAN being a blockbuster horror movie, I could have predicted every single beat of the movie before watching this movie. So that's something that's not so fun when you're really experienced at watching movies and you just see everything that's coming and you're just like, eh. And then on top of that, like, you can't even interest me with the kills. It ends up being a little like, oh, that was a good B movie.
Yeah.
Like, good, yeah. Like, good time to like watch with your friends, get some popcorn. It's fun.
Yeah.
But it's not revolutionary. It's not groundbreaking or anything.
Janet Chan, if this were a high school assignment, what score would you give it?
I would give it a B.
Why would you give it a B?
Because I did really, really like the story and the writing of the movie. So I was tempted to give it an A because I had so much fun with the characters. But the problem with the predictability and how being a horror movie, it's just not scary. So for the genre, it's not fulfilling its duty. I was like, eh.
Yeah, if our Zoomer audience isn't freaking out, you probably don't have a scary movie on your hands. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty easy to scare those kids.
Yes. So I would say it's a B.
I would also give M3GAN a B. I had a lot of fun, and I was, again, pleasantly surprised with a lot of the observations that the movie was making about our society. It's very much like a Black Mirror episode, actually.
Yes. It's as scary as a Black Mirror episode, which is not.
Which is not, but scary in terms of the, like, in a good Black Mirror episode, it's like scary in terms of the ramifications of our future.
Yes.
Our present.
It's an interesting thought experiment.
Yes. Has a lot to do with AI. So all of you people who are banning against AI artists, I hope you understand your fight is inevitably going to be lost. So yes, I give the movie a B because it's not an A because I really wanted to have more fun with the kills. And like, I know you're trying to make this movie PG-13, but there should be a way to make something creative and interesting in terms of the ew factor or the whoa factor. Yeah. That, like, because the kills were just so pedestrian. Yeah. You're just like, oh, you got stabbed and then you got sprayed with a hose. You know what I mean?
Well, isn't Insidious PG-13?
Insidious is PG-13. That scares the fucking Jesus out of me.
Yeah, so that's a great... It's in the same category. I mean, James Wan directed.
Yeah.
Now he's producing this one.
Right.
So, I mean, those two movies being very in the same category, it's like, well, I would give Insidious an A. But this movie...
For modern horror, especially a blockbuster,
Yeah.
for what it is, it does its job, you know, which M3GAN does other things, but like in terms of scaring you, it doesn't really do that. So I give it a B. I am hopeful for a sequel, and I am hopeful for like a very like James Cameron Aliens, let's just go fucking crazy with M3GAN and like let's make it rated R, or at least let's push the limits of PG-13, because like now that we know the characters and we know M3GAN really well, if you're gonna continue the story, let's see some crazy shit. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So yeah, this is the end of the spoiler-free discussion, and we are about to talk about spoilers. So watch out. This is your spoiler warning. Here we go. This episode is made possible by New Masters Academy, the world's absolute #1 art school in the entire world. Click the link down below for a free 7-day trial. Thank you, New Masters Academy. Do you ever fear that AI and robots and Boston Dynamic is going to take over the entire world, and you will be subservient to these robotic people that you know you hate? Do you worry about that? Because I worry about that sometimes. And when I do, what makes me feel a lot better about the present is Coffee Brand Coffee. Coffee Brand Coffee makes me really excited to go to work, kick ass, and do a good job for my employers.
Enter code honeyandabsinthe at checkout for 5% off your entire order. Check out the link down below.
Enjoy your coffee, enema babies. I am deep in the annals of your mind. I am deep in the annals of your... Hey everybody, welcome back to the Honey and Absinthe Show. We're talking about M3GAN once again. First, before we go beat for beat, act for act, like we do, the only ones on the internet who know and do it really well. Before we do all that, what were your expectations for the movie?
My expectations were pretty high because, unfortunately, because I was on Twitter right before the movie.
You need to stop doing that.
I know. I kept seeing tweets about it that were like, oh, it's really good. And I saw screen caps of the Rotten Tomatoes score with the top critics being like 90 something %. So I was like, oh, it's good. And my expectations were also, well, it's not art house, so it has to be this blockbuster thing. So it's a good like basic time. That's what I expected. What did you expect?
I wasn't expecting much. I had my expectations on the ground. We watched Child's Play because it just seems like if you were going to do a double feature, this is like the old and the new, the old possessed toy and the new possessed toy. But my expectations were, especially it being like a big Hollywood horror movie, that it does what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to scare you, but I didn't think it would be thoughtful. I didn't think I'd like the characters. I mean, it's like when I watch a movie like Child's Play, even like something like Nightmare or Friday the 13th, it's not like I love those characters. It's not like those characters really speak to me, and it's not like when those characters interact with each other, it's really meaningful. We're all here for the kills, really, and the cool gross out moments. But yes, my expectations were very low. I didn't expect this movie to be... Because, I don't know, for the past few horror movies, from Smile to Barbarian to Halloween Kills, it's been kind of like a uninspiring time for horror movies, even though there's been a lot.
Right, yeah.
So yeah, I thought M3GAN would just fall in line with all those other horror movies that we've seen. But it was surprisingly, shockingly not as bad as I thought. So let's go beat for beat, act for act. You ready?
I'm ready.
How does the movie start, Jan Chan?
It starts with a not Furby commercial.
Very Black Mirror. Very nice.
The only relevancy to this not Furby commercial is it introduces this kind of futuristic world. basically, it's not even that futuristic. It's like reportage of how kids are today. So in this not Furby, you play with it with an app, and like that introduces the technology, I guess, of the world. And it has this like the commercial is written with this like tone of satire, where it's making fun of the Furby toys, and
It's making fun of kids
yeah,
who consume the Furby toys.
so it's already setting up. The tone of the movie is going to be a little tongue-in-cheek. You're not supposed to take it too seriously. It's going to make fun of you. And
you're supposed to be okay with that.
Yeah. And then it cuts to this family, young family, millennial family
who don't realize, who are driving in the snow. They don't realize they should have put chains on their tires. As millennials,
yes,
really don't know.
We
didn't know that when we moved to Prescott.
I did.
Oh, Janet did. I didn't know that. I was like, what? You put chains in your tires? Just like the movie. So it's this father and mother, and then the kid. The kid is named Katie. She's a little girl in the back seat. She's playing with her Furby. Barely. It's like she doesn't really like the toy, really. She's just bearing with it.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. So the parents squabble about, like, we're lost. You keep driving recklessly. Let's stop for a second and assess the situation. And then a truck comes out of nowhere.
A snowplow.
Was it a snowplow?
Yeah, it was
a snowplow comes out of
nowhere.
nowhere.
They're talking about let's wait till the snowplows clear the way, and then a snowplow comes and clears the way.
I didn't catch that. I probably went, oh shit. That's so another level of tongue in cheek,
yes.
I guess. So a snowplow kills the parents.
Yeah.
And then we cut to Gemma, who is a toy designer in a not Hasbro company.
Yes.
Not Mattel company.
Not Funko company.
Not Funko. It's funky. Stupid. But it works. I understand.
That's totally what we do.
See, that's why I think this movie is funny. It just like makes funny little things like that. It's funny.
So Gemma is like a toy designer. She's working on a Furby, essentially, and she's really frustrated with it because it's like beneath her, apparently. And then her coworker / friend is like, what are you doing? You're slacking off. You're supposed to be working on this thing. And she's like, no, I actually want to work on this thing. And then it's revealed that she's working on some kind of android robot thing. And then as they're working on it, her boss walks in on them. So Gemma, trying to like basically pitch this idea to her boss rather than having to work on yet again the next iteration of Furby, she's trying to like have it test drive and showcase it to her boss.
Take my personal project seriously is what she's trying to do to her boss.
Yes, I hate this work project, but please, I want to do my personal project.
The robot goes on the fritz, I think, and then the boss is like, stop wasting company money and just do the fucking Furby robot.
Yes.
Because Hasbro, those assholes, have made a discount version of our fucking Furby, so now we have to make a discount version of our Furby. So
yeah. So she has to, she's basically asked to pare down her original Furby design and make it even dumber, even worse. And she's just like, oh my god, my life. Why? Cut to Gemma is now at the hospital picking up Katie, the girl who was in the car with her parents that got snowplowed.
So it's revealed that Gemma is the sister of the woman who got killed. So the only guardian is Gemma or the husband's parents in Daytona, Florida.
Yes. And basically Gemma is forced to adopt Katie, her niece. She takes her home. As she's unpacking her car, she gets jump scared by the neighbor's dog. And it's the first time you meet the dog, and the neighbor pretty much unimportant till later. And then
the neighbor's like this overbearing neighbor that like Gemma. It seems like she has OCD or something, but because she doesn't even like that the neighbor sprays chemicals and it ends up in her lawn.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of character stuff there, a lot of conflict, a lot of like I hate you neighbor and I hate you neighbor type of stuff, right?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. And so you go into her house, and it's really clean and nice. The first thing Katie does, because she's a child, she goes up to the, I guess, built-in bookshelf thing of her living room. There's like collectibles and stuff on it, and she picks a toy up.
When you go into a designer's studio, what is the one fucking thing you do not do?
You do not touch the toys.
Don't touch the toys! I'm not really much of a toy collector, more of an instrument collector myself, but like lots of my fellow coworkers have toys, and they will castrate me if I touch them.
Yes.
Yes?
Every director I've known has an office full of collectible toys. It is a thing.
And I'm very happy that this movie even knew that like you have to.
You have to.
You have to.
You're a designer, you're an artist. For whatever reason, we're stunted adults and we have unopened toys on our shelves that cost a lot of money.
So she's like, ooh, toy.
Yeah.
And Gemma's like, no, do not.
Don't
put that back.
That's like not a toy, it's collectible.
Oh
and then like through interacting with Katie, you start to realize that Gemma is a stunted millennial. She doesn't know how to care for a child whatsoever.
Never thought this was in the cards for her.
She's a little OCD, so Katie, being a child, doesn't understand why she needs to put her glass of water on a coaster. And like Katie has to, like, it drives her mad that like she has to move the glass so it doesn't damage her beautiful wood dining table, I guess. And I think the day ends with like Katie asking for a bedtime story and Gemma not realizing she even needed to do that, doesn't own any children's books, so she's trying to download one off her phone, and it's just it's kind of sad. So lots of interesting character development or character setup of like who these characters are. A therapist comes to assess Katie and Gemma's relationship to make sure Katie's gonna be okay with her new guardian.
And that the guardian is suitable for Katie too.
Yes. The therapist is a little judgmental, but at the end of the day, after observing Gemma play with Katie
Poorly.
Yeah, very poorly. The therapist basically says, you know, if you don't want her, or the husband's parents can take her. And then Gemma's kind of offended, but then the therapist is like, we just want the best for Katie. If you want Katie, you need to change. There's a lot of changes that are going to need to happen. Fast forward to, I think, the next day. Gemma has to work on this Furby thing that her boss yelled at her for, but she needs to also take care of Katie. So they're sitting at the breakfast table. Gemma looks very impatient, like she has other stuff she could be doing. So she makes a promise to Katie that I'll go play with you at, I don't know, the playground or do something with you, but maybe you can like be alone all day while I work in my office. I'll be fine. Like I'll be done in no time. And then it cuts to like it's black. It's nighttime, yeah.
And Gemma's still working on her Furby, like changing the eyes and all of that stuff. And clearly she's been working at this like the whole day, and it's late evening. But Katie walks in, peeks in, really curious like, and then Gemma realizes how much of a big asshole she's been.
Yeah.
Totally disregarding Gemma, being completely enthralled by her work, as us millennials do.
Yes.
And being really guilty about it. So she like talks to Katie, and they have a conversation about Gemma's college project, which is this big robot, which is right next to them. And Katie's like, holy smokes, so what is that? And then Gemma shows the robot what it does, shows her what the robot can do. And then Katie says something like, what did she say? Like, man, if I had a toy like that,
it would be the only toy I'd ever need.
It'd be the only toy I never. It'd be only. It'd be the only toy I ever need. And then this big Hero 6 montage, because like Gemma has like this light bulb on top of her head, like oh, I know what to do with this M3GAN thing. This personal project I've been doing. It's basically going to be an upgrade of my college project. So she wrangles up her friends, and like they make essentially M3GAN. Yes. Made out of titanium, has silicone face skin like a blow-up doll, like one of those types of things. And she looks freaky, but then pretty. Yeah. Like a doll would, but then freaky, like how dolls are. Yes. You know what I
mean? So basically, Gemma and friends, her coworkers, ambush her boss, who is expecting the Furby. The boss walks into this like display room thing. It's like a lab, when you
it reminds me of those like sci-fi movies where the kids are being tested on through the window. But instead of a kid being tested on, it's revealed that we see Katie, who's just sitting there. And then M3GAN walks in, right?
Yes.
Or is M3GAN already there?
M3GAN's there.
Okay, so M3GAN's already there with some art
Katie
supplies.
Walks in,
And Katie walks in. And then how does M3GAN draw her a picture? I forget how that.
Well, first, Gemma pairs M3GAN with Katie to show that they're now linked. It's like, this is your cell phone, essentially.
You did the thumb pad.
Yeah, this belongs to you.
Apple has your soul.
Yes. And then Gemma basically lets M3GAN take control. M3GAN is like, getting to know Katie, and then draws her a picture. There's nothing on it, and then
water spills by accident, and then it develops like a piece of photograph, like a photograph actually.
Yeah. And then like the boss is like so impressed and is like, oh my god, we're definitely going to be showing this to like the higher ups. And you need to like, can we do that? And Gemma's like, sure, I just need more time to like have M3GAN and Katie bond more, so that and that'll give me time to give you like a brief to show you that, so you can tell and pitch the upper echelon executives like what you're talking about. So that ends Act 1 essentially.
There's this entire montage narrated by Gemma about all the things that M3GAN can do. Basically, like remind Katie to flush the toilet, remind Katie to wash her hands, and like through this montage, we start to realize that like, wait a second, these are all things you should be doing as a parent, right? Why is M3GAN being the one to tell Katie, oh, you got to put your thing in the coaster, you got to wash your hands after you pee? That seems like it's like when people put tablets in front of their kids, it's like that on steroids.
Yes.
So, and then after that, I think is when the act ends.
Yes.
Act 1 ends. Yes.
So a lot in this act that I liked.
A lot.
This act said a lot about millennial parenting, about how on one side there's Katie's actual parents who literally also, the Furby, if you have to play with it with an iPad. Katie was playing with it she was an iPad child. And the parents being very dumb, shown by like the fact that they don't know how to drive in snow and then they died. It shows that like millennials are young and they don't really know how to parent. And this world we live in just uses technology in place of parenting. Whereas Gemma on the other hand, is a childless millennial, and she
like us.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was very relatable, but also the observations are very sharp, and I agree with. We are very highly motivated people, but we are stunted adults.
Yes.
We work really hard, but we have total disregard for everything else in life.
Zero empathy for people.
Yes.
But really self-absorbed, narcissistic, thinking like our personal projects are more important than the company's goals or whatever. Career first. Career woman.
She is a career woman.
Yeah.
Gemma is.
And not really caring
like completely much. The archetype of like, she doesn't want kids. She is basically a kid.
She has toys.
She has toys. Also, what the movie was saying about work culture was really accurate. Us, coming from the animation industry, we also have a lot of severe deadlines, and we also disregard almost everything to get our job done. So, and we also have maybe in the past, worked with superiors who would rather have a subpar, half-baked thing come out than a thing of quality. And, what are we supposed to do? Just say, hey, that's not right? No, we have to do it, no matter what they say.
You suck it up.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's also really telling that when Katie tells Gemma that if I had a toy like this, it would be the only toy I would ever need. And what's not being said is Gemma's light bulb moment there was, if a child can have such a great distraction, I wouldn't need to parent. And like she kind of sort of says it later, but I was like, man, is that the millennial approach to parenting?
Too real.
To just distract the child and never really bond with it and care for it. That's so sad, but yeah, also very real about how a stunted, childless millennial would handle suddenly being thrusted upon them the responsibility of becoming a mother. Yes, it's sad, but in like treated in a really like lighthearted, funny way. So I really liked Act 1. Start of Act 2. Gemma and friends are basically doing some touch-ups with M3GAN before she takes her home. And this is when M3GAN learns about death for the first time, because they're casually talking about Katie and how her parents died. And then that's when M3GAN is intrusively asked about what did happen to it, and then like searches the internet and then finds the articles, I guess, and like without permission she learns about the concept of death and why Katie doesn't have parents. So cut to M3GAN is basically supervising Katie as she's playing bows and arrows outside, and she has this funny
existential crisis moment where she's looking at this helicopter and she's pondering the meaning of it, and then this little butterfly lands on the window she's peering off into, and then she just kind of is like, what am I mean, she doesn't actually say it, but it's implied. She's like, what is my purpose?
What
am I?
Am
I alive?
Yeah, or dead?
Am I the helicopter or am I the butterfly?
That's when Katie loses one of her arrows. M3GAN uses her camera-like eyes to find it. Turns out it's right on the other side of the fence to the neighbor with the angry dog, and there's like a hole. So M3GAN goes, tries to get it back, but then the dog comes out of nowhere, grabs M3GAN's arm. Katie tries to save M3GAN, pull her back, and she gets bit from the screaming. Eventually the dog lets go. Gemma is like, what's wrong? M3GAN can, for the first time, you can see that she can kind of analyze emotions, people emotions, and fever and stuff like that. So she tells Gemma that Katie has a fever. Her temperature is going up, so she needs to be taken care of right away.
And M3GAN does this crazy thing where she's able to read people's emotions. There's like this stat for confusion, embarrassment, whatever, and like the number value, and she can read people's temperature. Like M3GAN is just like, she is this all-knowing thing. If Siri or what's the other thing? Alexa was like an actual robot. This is M3GAN, and it's really it's cool in the context of the movie, but then when you really think about it, it's like, man, AI is gonna kill us all, man. I'm telling you.
So
James Cameron and I have been telling you, just saying.
Gemma gets really mad at the neighbor for not having control over her dog, and calls the cops basically to get the dog put down. The cops are basically like, sorry, nothing we can do. The neighbor said the dog was provoked, so you just gotta live with this angry dog that's gonna bite you. M3GAN overhears this conversation from inside the house, and she decides to take matters into her own hands. She basically puts down the dog in the middle
off screen
of the night.
too. Yeah. But it's implied that she does something naughty in the middle of the night.
Yes. Fast forward the next day, Katie has a fever from the dog bite. She's not feeling so well, but Gemma, because she has to present M3GAN to the executives, she guilts Katie into doing the presentation.
She does the whole like, I mean, if you don't want to do it, that's fine. It's just, you know, a lot of people are counting on you and I right now. Mm-hmm. It's like, you're not really giving Katie much of a choice here.
Yeah, fantastic. Mother of the year.
Yes, surrogate mother of the year. Gemma.
So we're at the little like glass thing again, except now the executives, really important people, are in the room, and the room lights up, and M3GAN is doing her little song and dance, but Katie's not having it. She starts crying. It basically goes off the rails. Like, what's planned is not happening. But M3GAN kind of saves the day. M3GAN prioritizes Katie's emotions and goes like, what's wrong? Katie's basically missing her parents. She's worried that she'll forget them one day. And M3GAN basically is like, well, tell me a memory. And Katie tells her a memory, and M3GAN goes, you'll never forget them because I'll have it stored inside me this whole time. And then she plays this recording of Katie basically telling her the story, and then starts singing like a mother would, some kind of comforting song. I forget what song. And this
melts the hearts of the investors and the higher-ups. Gemma's boss was sweating it until all of the investors started weeping and thought this was great. So the head honcho takes Gemma and her boss off to the side and says, that was incredible. We're going to make boatloads of money. You got to sign an NDA. We got to keep this under wraps. This can't get leaked. And you, Gemma, you are going to be the head of this project, basically. Which essentially, for us designers, that means you have climbed the ladder.
You have gotten praise.
You have gotten praise by the big man,
yes.
And validation. I hope your life is meaningful.
Hope all the sleepless nights neglecting your child
was worth it. Parents of the year. But yes, like, you know, Gemma's boss gets a little peeved, but then whatever. It's exciting. This is incredible for everybody.
Right. They're going to fast track the launch of M3GAN in 2 weeks. How about 2 weeks? And then Gemma's like, okay, I can. You asked me to jump. How high? How
many half-baked video games have you played? It's because of conversations like that. Yeah. What I thought was like Cyberpunk 2020 blah blah blah. It's just like, that's exactly what they do. They tell the art department, they crack the whip, go fucking do it, and then they go like, I guess, and then they come out with something like M3GAN.
Yes. Exactly. S- Meanwhile, the PA, the boss's PA essentially, is stealing Megan's files in the background. Um, Back in that lab thing, for whatever reason, Katie's therapist is there watching Katie and Megan interact. And Gemma basically comes back down, I guess, comes back into the room and asks the therapist what she thinks. The therapist is impressed, but also kind of worried, and tells Gemma about attachment theory, about how after a child loses her parents, she would typically attach herself, bond with the next person she comes into contact with. And if it's not Gemma and it's Megan, she's never gonna grow up properly. Which makes Gemma concerned that she's not parenting well. So the next day, when after she's brought Megan and Katie home, Gemma basically says, I know your parents homeschooled you, Katie, but you're gonna have to go to school because you need to be around other children. And Katie's like not having it. She's like, no, I don't need other children. I have Megan. And then Gemma is like, well, I understand you're like special, so we're gonna put you in some kind of like camp, yeah, for special children. And so Katie really doesn't want to, but she's forced to go. Megan is basically put in like the toy table.
Oh, a small moment before that is when they have a little squabble after Katie's like, I don't want to. And then doesn't she grab Gemma's arm, right? Gemma grabs Katie's arm. And then in I think one of the first obvious moments of Megan's defiance, like she tells Gemma to unhand Megan. Yeah. Turns off the lights and turns them back on, and is very like, ooh. Ooh. But yes, and then after that, Gemma takes Katie to the camp.
Yes. Like, Gemma doesn't technically want Megan there, but Katie wouldn't go without her, so she's just put in, like, the toy table. She's not really supposed to, like, be hanging out with the kids. Katie, unfortunately, is paired up with this school shooter type child to do some kind of camp exercise where they're gathering chestnuts in the forest.
Straight up asshole kid, basically.
Yes.
It's bad luck for Katie.
So Katie is just wandering around trying to do the exercise, and then the school bully kid essentially bullies her. He harasses her, he hurts her, and then Megan shows up out of nowhere and freaks the boy out, but like he steals her because Megan's pretending to be like this little robot doll. Megan eventually activates when Katie is out of sight, essentially, to see the violence. But she rips off the boy's ear, makes him run, and then chases him like one of those robot dogs.
Making moves like a primal beast. Yes. It's very strange because it's a humanoid girl, but then moving like a beast. It's very strange.
So he's like running through the forest, trips, rolls down a hill, falls onto a street, and then a car comes and runs him over.
Splat. Dead kid. Yes. Man. And then, after the aftermath of like parents and people talking to the police, and this really ominous shot of Gemma looking through the car window, and essentially reading everybody's lips, like understanding all the conversations that are going on. When
they're home, Gemma asks Katie and Megan what happened, and they both lie together. So now they're
in cahoots.
Yeah, and doing really strange, morally wrong things together now. At the same exact time, a police comes knocking at the door, and they are basically asking about the neighbor's dog. The neighbor suspects Gemma for having like taken the dog or something. Gemma has no idea. It's like, well, I don't know. But because the neighbor was harassing Gemma and family, M3GAN, now having already killed once, is gonna do it again. So that night she goes and murders the neighbor with her pesticides. And then the next day, more police come, and now they suspect Gemma, because now suddenly there's 2 deaths around the same group of people. They're like, what's going on?
They also found the piece of the a piece of the ear from the kid in a random place. So the story was this kid got ran over. What the hell is a piece of his ear doing in the middle of the forest? Very strange. The detectives are like, what's going on?
Yeah. So Gemma,
she just doesn't know.
She's like, oh, I have a great idea. I'm going to check M3GAN's body cam, her eyes or whatever. So she checks the computer. Turns out everything from that, like the past 2 days, have been corrupted. So something's wrong with M3GAN, and Gemma suspects that she might have done something bad. So Gemma basically tricks M3GAN, because she's becoming more and more defiant. She's like not turning off anymore when asked. Gemma tricks M3GAN to turn her off and packages her up and takes her back to the office. And that's Act 2.
Also because it's showtime, right?
Yes.
At this day.
Yes,
and then it's the end of the act. So Act 2, I think the strongest act.
I think so.
Because by the time we get here, like, we understand these characters, and their relationships with each other start growing, and it's really neat. Even though it's like malevolent, it's neat watching M3GAN interact with Katie. I think that's I think the scene where she's being shown off to the investors is like a really good tender scene, with her freaking out that she'll forget her mom. I was shocked by how well M3GAN handled that, and how well it was written to be like, there's a child in distress, and this is how you calm them down, I guess. And which is something like Gemma cannot do to save her life.
I think my favorite part of Act 2 is definitely the character relationships with each other. I really dislike Gemma and her inability to know how to do normal caretaker things.
But it was baked in the movie.
Yes.
But it's, it's like Skylar. It's like, oh man, why can't you not suck?
Yeah, like I dislike her but like the fact that I dislike her means it's like her written point. Well. Yeah, her story is written well. I sometimes dislike Katie as well, but I also understand she's like this is a weird situation she's dealing with a lot, losing her parents. But
you kept asking me like, well, would you like deal with like this bratty ass kid? I was like, God. I don't know, man. If the parents died, I'd probably try to be as patient as I can.
I think we both thought that like we both wouldn't have such a bratty kid on our hands, because we both wouldn't be as incompetent as Gemma.
So we hope. Yeah, we wouldn't be as bad as Gemma,
yeah,
man. Come on.
Jeez. But the frustration is baked in, because that just means the story is doing its job. It's the interactions are frustrating for a reason, and I think it's written really well, because it says a lot about, maybe not so much Katie, I don't know, so like clearly I don't know what it's like to have your parents die all of a sudden as a child.
At least it seemed believable.
Yeah,
at the very least.
But with Gemma, I was just like, yep.
I know. I've worked with somebody like you before. Yep.
But it's just funny too, like all the investor meetings or the executive meetings, and the way like the boss doesn't actually know what he's talking about and needed like some kind of like Cliff Notes thing from the designers to be like, oh yes, this is how I'm gonna sell it. But and also just like the pettiness of the PA to just like steal the files, and like, what are you gonna do with it? Really, what are you gonna do? But like, he does it for out of like contempt, or just like some kind of revenge down the line.
I guess I don't know what the motivations for him doing that were. They kind of seemed out of left field, and I could only assume that he was just gonna leak it for money or something.
Yeah, well, it seems like the Gemma and friends, and also the boss, doesn't treat him very well. They treat him like, they look down on him. So then he occasionally,
right, he's like the Toby of the office.
Yeah,
I see.
He tries to act nice, but then he looks like upset afterwards when he's not being treated with respect.
I've worked with somebody like that before.
And I think I love the scene where M3GAN is having her existential crisis.
Yeah, man.
I thought it was done so well. No words.
Yeah.
It's just visual.
Pure cinema.
It's just like a butterfly, a helicopter. Which
What
one am I?
What am I?
What am I? What is life?
Things I didn't like. This is when it's revealed. It's really clear that like the PG-13ness is showing, and that like the kills aren't that fun. The funnest kill is the kid, because it feels good. He gets his he gets his comeuppance, or M3GAN, whatever. Like it really feels good to see an asshole school shooter kid get murked by a female robot.
Yes. Yes.
It's really funny. It is. And but that was probably, but still it was very very tame. The grossest part, I guess, is seeing the kid's ear stretch, but like we don't really get to see the kid get murked by the car or anything. So, and then when we see M3GAN murk the neighbor, it's not that exciting. I think the coolest part about that scene is when M3GAN is revealed through the shadows and she like gets up all crazy but then she essentially hoses down the neighbor with the chemical stuff. And then, if this was the rated R version, her skin would be peeling off of her face and the eyeballs would be falling. But it was very tame. And then all we get is this artsy shot of the reflection of the water and M3GAN holding the hose. Yeah. Very Seven-like or something like that.
The kills, I wonder how it needed to be for me to feel like it was better.
Satisfying?
Yeah. And I think that I would say I would have preferred a Evil Dead approach, because the movie doesn't take itself very seriously. It wouldn't make sense for it to be too scary, but campy scary is great.
Yeah.
So definitely a more gory Evil Dead, a more practical
even more humor in the kills.
Yeah, humor in the kills.
Yeah, that would have been neat.
The way a lot of those Evil Dead demonic things kind of laugh at you before you die. I wish there's something like that with M3GAN, or something like a joke before she kills them or something.
Or even the method is just kind of off and funny. Offbeat and funny.
Yeah.
But it's very tame. The kid gets run over by a car. M3GAN hoses down this lady with chemicals.
Yeah, it's
and then it doesn't really get much more. Those were probably the more creative kills. The latter kills in the Act 3 are she stabs people.
Yeah,
that's it.
So yeah, that's about it. I think about what we disliked.
All right, so those are our likes and dislikes for Act 2. What happens in Act 3, JJ?
So Act 3, it is launch day, except M3GAN has killed 2 people. So Gemma basically packed her into the car. Katie is throwing a massive tantrum, being separated from M3GAN basically for the first time in the movie since she was bonded to her. And so Gemma takes M3GAN to her co-workers to give some kind of diagnostic tests while she handles Katie. Katie's put in that lab room with the therapist, and she's having this like tantrum in the background, like this massive tantrum, throwing chairs, everything.
Really violent. Like it's almost like M3GAN has really got to her head.
Yeah, because like after M3GAN killed the boy, when they're back home, M3GAN and Katie have this conversation where similar kind of to when Katie's crying at her parents. M3GAN's trying, except this time M3GAN's justifying something like not right. She's like, oh well, Gemma says that boy is in a better place. Like, what do you think, Katie? And Katie's like, well, I don't know. And then M3GAN's like, I don't think so. Boys like that don't belong in a better place. He got exactly what he deserved, essentially. So like they're set up there for M3GAN to have like manipulated Katie's brain into thinking like doing certain things are okay.
Is this when she starts singing Titanium?
Yeah. Bulletproof.
Yeah. Oh my God. I love it when M3GAN sings. When you do sequels for M3GAN, you gotta keep doing this. Funny. It's really, really funny. Seriously, like she should be singing right before she kills somebody.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Why didn't that? Maybe they didn't have the rights. I don't know.
But they got the rights for the Titanium. Like, I don't think it's that. It's they probably, I don't know. They didn't think to do it.
So
but do it.
So I guess I don't know why, but Gemma goes upstairs where the launch is about to happen, and she's watching this god-awful promo of like, it's like one of those things where like kids are like, well, I got cancer, but this company, because of this medicine or this thing, it's really changed my life. And ever since then,
yes.
like and then you have like the parents and everything. So what's happening is like,
it's like, I'm Katie and my parents died.
Yes. And then like picture of Katie
parents
and
of Jesus Christ. So totally using the tragedy as a selling point for the product.
Yeah, as an advertisement. And
right.
then, but like, Aunt Gemma works at this really cool company called Funky, and where they design really amazing toys, and they designed a toy called M3GAN. And then the boss comes in and it's like, because of M3GAN, now Katie and family, and then you show Katie with M3GAN and Gemma as like one of those happy family pictures, like they live happily ever after.
But through this, Katie goes on, I forgot what she says, but like Katie really is vulnerable in this ad, sadly. Yeah. But then as Gemma's watching this, I don't know why she didn't realize this before, but as she's watching this advertisement, Gemma's like, oh, Katie just wants a mom.
Yeah, because, well, Katie, like, really heartfelt was like, I love M3GAN because when she looks at me, it's like I'm the only thing that matters to her. She cares about me. Like, I matter. Like, I just want to matter and to somebody. And
like which is what I assume parents should be doing.
Yes.
Right?
Like, oh, she said, M3GAN looks at me like my mom would. My mom used to. And that's when Gemma, like, finally realizes maybe you suck. You suck.
Maybe you suck. And maybe you put all your effort in the wrong place.
Yes. You made M3GAN, your baby M3GAN, rather than taking care of an actual child.
Right. That
is right in front of you. So, out of a lot of guilt, Gemma goes back into the lab room, and Katie's getting really bad at this point. She's like, grab some sharp object, a scissor, I think, or something. So the therapist's like, whoa. And Gemma barges in and is like, Katie, you need to stop this. Give me that scissor. And then Katie slaps Gemma across the face. And then cut to friends trying to wait. Not yet. Gemma is like, it's okay. She excuses the therapist. Katie apologizes and is like, I don't know what's getting into me. This is how I am without M3GAN. You just need to give me back M3GAN, and then I can
like a
be
drug
okay.
addict going through withdrawal, man.
Yeah, Her eyes are like the makeup is
like she's a drug addict,
Yeah.
which is very good from the art department. Good job, guys.
And then Gemma's like, no, like, you're supposed to go through these emotions. You just lost your parents. I'm sorry I couldn't be there for you, but like, I designed M3GAN as a distraction for you, and now I know it's wrong. Like, I will be there for you. Like, M3GAN, something's wrong with her. So she can't be with you, but like, I will always be with you. I'll be your mom. Essentially, I'm gonna be your mom. So for the first time in the entire movie, Gemma finally puts Katie first as a priority and decides to like, screw the launch. Everything's going to shit. I'm taking my daughter home, essentially. So she drives home, and she tries to contact her friends, except M3GAN has basically intercepted the call and pretended to be her friend.
Very Terminator.
Yes.
Remember, like Terminator pretended to be John Connor's surrogate mom. Remember? And meanwhile, she stabbed the surrogate dad through the face. Remember?
Yes.
That was cool.
Yeah, this movie actually takes more from Terminator.
It actually does than Chucky.
Yeah. So, cut to, you know, what the friends and M3GAN are up to. M3GAN's basically strapped to very Ghost in the Shell with the wires, and the friends are trying to do a diagnostic, but it's not working because M3GAN has basically interrupted their signal or whatever. So, basically what happens next is M3GAN goes on a killing spree and tries to get back home to Katie. So, as the male friend goes up to M3GAN and tries to disconnect her, M3GAN wakes up from pretending to be asleep and like strangles him with one of the cords. The other friend, in a desperate attempt to save him, grabs like a saw and saws him the wire loose. So the two friends are basically safe. But M3GAN goes into the hallway and meets the boss, who's like really upset that like nothing's going well.
Right.
Gemma's gone. He can't find M3GAN, but M3GAN's right in front of him. Then she starts doing a little dance, and then out of nowhere grabs some saw from a printer. I think.
Oh, it's paper cutter. Where you cut multiple papers.
Okay.
So she you slice it. She took it straight up, and then it becomes a makeshift machete, essentially.
I was like, where'd she get that sword? They just have one of those lying around.
Strange, though, that they have that in an office, a super high-tech office like that. You think they have, like, at least the slider cutter thing? Like, gee, the cleaver cutter thing is, like, what,
old
from
school.
the 90s, 80s, something like that. It's old school. But a good way for M3GAN to get a makeshift weapon.
Yeah.
So. I think one thing you guys should do if you're listening, Universal, give M3GAN at least like a weapon.
Yes.
Everyone has a weapon. If M3GAN's is her hands or her super strength, fine. But like, it's really cool to see that like the dissonance of that like pretty doll girl with a knife, with a weapon, and that she could murk you with. So something to think about.
The kill of the boss, not so interesting. She's just kind of like slashes him.
She runs towards him. He runs away. He runs towards the elevator at the end of the hall. The PA is in there, and he's telling the PA to close the door. But then as he closes the door, as he's about to go through, he gets stabbed. And then in a very like... I don't even get to see much of the sword through his body, which isn't very... it's not exciting. And then he collapses. M3GAN goes in and talks to the PA and is basically like, I know what you've been doing. Been taking all the company secrets. But... and he's like, oh, you killed him. And she's like, no one's going to blame me. They're going to blame you. And then they essentially like... she stabs him.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. She basically is like setting him up to be the person who killed the boss, because like, oh, you're a disgruntled employee you're
a Janet.
Yeah, who secretly wants to kill your boss. So you did it, and after you did it, you couldn't live with your decision, so you're gonna die too. So she kills him, and then she somehow ends up at home again. Oh, she steals like a Lamborghini or something.
Yeah,
like a toy race car or something.
There's a bunch of people there for the presentation.
Yeah. And
as she leaves the elevator, they see the dead people, and everyone freaks out.
Yeah.
And in the pandemonium, M3GAN runs towards a Lamborghini, I guess, and then drives to Gemma's place.
Yeah, apparently. So
I needed to go pee here, so I forgot what I don't really know what happened.
Oh, okay. So Katie and Gemma are at home. Gemma puts Katie to bed, and she is just kind of like about to go to bed herself when she hears piano playing. So she goes, yeah.
Oh fuck! I missed that.
Yeah.
Damn it.
So she goes into the living room to check where's the sound coming from, and like she doesn't see. She looks out the window.
Is she playing like something ominous, like a Beethoven? Is it just like
it's
happy?
just like
just piano playing?
Yeah, like a music box. It sounds like a music box.
Oh, creepy. So it's like creepy.
Yeah.
It's setting the mood. Ooh.
Oh, and she tells Elise, the Alexa of the in this world, to like turn on the lights, but the lights won't turn on. So it seems M3GAN had hacked that system.
There's a few more other instances of M3GAN seemingly able to hack into like the larger internet and the Alexa of the world.
Yeah.
Which is really neat, and the possibilities for the sequels are infinite. Really exciting.
So M3GAN is revealed basically at the piano in a really cool way. It reminds me of when Pennywise is revealed in It. There's light, a very thin shaft of light right on the eyes, and the eyes are twinkling.
Oh, fuck, I can't believe I missed
very Hannibal Lecter as
That's
well.
Cool.
And so like
that in The Exorcist, where like one of the fathers come, but then like it dissolves into like the face of Reagan, and like it's like exactly like that. Oh, it's so fucking sick. God damn it, my bladder.
So that reveal is kind of cool because like Gemma turns around and then M3GAN's there, and it looks pretty neat. So Gemma and M3GAN basically have the divorce conversation.
Who's gonna have custody over the child?
Essentially.
Kramer versus Kramer style.
Yeah, so like that, they eventually go to like the dinner table, something like that, and like M3GAN's negotiating with Gemma of like how this is all gonna work.
I missed all this.
Of like, yeah, so like I understand like this is complicated, but like we need like I'm going to, don't worry, she basically says, don't worry, I know your career will always come first, and you will never have enough time for Katie.
Oh, dick punch. Yeah, my god.
She does what she did to the PA, but to Gemma. She's like, you're a career woman. All you care about is this. So it's fine because you have me. I will take care of Katie, and she will never have to like worry, and I will never leave her side. All that, and it comes across really creepy and very like helicopter mom. Mm-hmm. And then Katie shows up. She's hearing like stuff through the door, so she opens the door a little, and then she's like, is something wrong? I think I hear M3GAN. And then
her view is obstructed by a few pots and plants and things. She's not actually sure what's going on, but then both M3GAN and Gemma pretend that like they're doing a diagnostic test just for appearances.
But actually Gemma is trying her best to like disengage. What do you turn M3GAN off? Yeah. And but like clearly,
but doesn't M3GAN say something? If you fucking turn me off, I'll rip your face off or some shit.
Oh, like if Katie comes in here,
right.
Right. I will break her neck or something.
Yeah.
So Katie's like, "Are you sure? Sounds like you guys are fighting." And they're like, "Yeah. Like, please don't come in here." And once Katie leaves, they like really start like fighting, and it gets so loud to the point where they're like struggling in the hallway.
Yeah, important fact. She gets M3GAN gets water on her.
Yeah.
So she's not running at full capacity. She's doing the whole like stuttery, glitchy thing, and contorting her body in very disturbing ways.
Yeah.
For us to watch.
And so eventually Katie obviously wakes up and hears what's happening. Kind of. For the longest time she's like locked in her room or something. Eventually they get into Gemma's studio office thing, and M3GAN is basically completely beating Gemma up with a hammer. And Katie comes in, saves the day, essentially. She's like, what's going on? Like, what's happening? M3GAN tries to convince Katie to be on her side, that like, oh, we can
They do the Kramer versus Kramer thing.
Yeah.
Which parent will you choose, motherfucker?
Come to me.
Will it be Meryl Streep or will it be Dustin Hoffman? Oh, choose. And then Katie basically chooses Gemma. Yeah. And then it's revealed that she has the gloves that control Gemma's college project. Mm-hmm. So Katie uses Gemma's college project to pick up M3GAN and rip her in two.
Yes, but turns out she's not dead yet.
Because this is a horror movie.
Yes, so she's all like ripped up and crazy looking now. So she basically crawls at Katie and is like, I don't belong to you now, I belong to me. And that's when Gemma saves Katie this time, kind of like takes off M3GAN's face, and previously we know that like the core, I guess, or the brain is right kind of like in the center of her face, and it's like revealed, so she's like exposed now. But like M3GAN is choking Gemma to death, and Katie basically pokes her in the brain and then saves Gemma again. So the police come, all's well that ends well. They go outside with their friends, but as they're going out the door, Elise turns on ominously, hinting at perhaps a sequel, and maybe M3GAN isn't gone. She's somewhere in the internet.
In the cloud.
Yes.
Ooh.
So
that's the end of the movie.
I didn't like Act 3
Act
as
3
much.
It wasn't awful. It did what it's supposed to do, but it wasn't surprising either. Mm-hmm. It's definitely the weakest of the three, I think.
It's the most predictable act.
Especially after watching Chucky, I was like, oh, okay. So that like M3GAN's gonna look like shit, but she's gonna keep coming until she dies. It's getting stabbed in the face is essentially like when the voodoo people were like, oh, you need to shoot Chucky in the heart.
Right.
Remember?
Right. In every horror movie ever, it takes like 3 tries.
Yes.
Yeah, at least.
It can't be the first try.
Yes. What I did like is the moment when Gemma and Katie finally have their character arc completed. Gemma talking her down and doing what she's supposed, that M3GAN has been doing this entire time, talking her down from a difficult situation and being like, I'll be there for you, I'll take care of you. That was really nice. Just everything leading up to it, I didn't buy, because I was like, really? You really have to, you're typical millennial learning life lessons through entertainment and commercials to finally be like, okay, I get it.
Oh my god, the added layer of satire, I didn't even see it. Oh my god, that is funny. Oh my god. Yeah, we have to learn all of our life lessons through Pixar movies.
Yes.
Right.
It's sad.
God.
Through cheesy documentary footage.
God, the writers, man.
Are
Blumhouse.
Great. Yeah.
This is great.
That's about the only thing I like from Act 3.
Right, and like again, like with the kills, it's very not fun. Not even the cat and mouse thing wasn't drawn out or fun, or no funny quips, no, and at the end there's no like, I mean, kind of wanted something like What is it? What does Chucky say to the kid? Like, oh, we'll be friends forever.
Oh yeah.
Pal or whatever, friends forever, whatever. And he's like, this is the end, friend.
Yeah.
Just something fun. But it was very just like she stabs people and she almost crushes Gemma to death. And she, even though is missing her bottom half, can still move fast. And it's just not that exciting. And it's like the character stuff is the most satisfying part, especially when Gemma talks to Katie and is finally ready to be a mom, something we've been waiting for the entire movie. It's really satisfying to watch. But then like almost when that want is fulfilled, everything else is just like, action movie stuff. But not I kind of wanted M3GAN to go like the ending of Malignant, especially at the expo. I wanted her to murk everyone in like the craziest way. That'd be so funny. And so like tongue in cheek that like this is the presentation. She's standing on stage, she's all bloody and shit, and it's being live streamed. Oh my god.
Yeah, it would have been cool.
It would have been cool, but instead they just went straight for, I don't know, like the movie just kind of feels like it wraps up, and it's not those parts aren't very memorable of like M3GAN fighting Gemma. It's also really lame that like M3GAN's not at full capacity. She's like going haywire at the same time, which gives these two humans a chance. In the sequel,
I guess I did.
She'll be at full capacity though.
I guess I did like the when M3GAN is threatening Gemma about essentially getting custody of Katie, how like scary her helicopter momness is. Like,
but also like the dissonance of like, this is such a adults having a conversation, but it's a fucking robot. A child robot and a human being.
Yeah. It's scary, I guess, in a way, but I just I've never seen that before.
That is pretty
in a
neat.
movie that like the horror movie villain is like a helicopter mom robot. Specifically, like AI always wants to destroy humanity. Mm-hmm. It never wants to protect humanity. But like this one really does want to protect this one human.
Right.
This one very specific
and
human.
would destroy anybody in a way.
So I thought that was kind of cool because it like turns the expectation of AI a little bit on its head. And I feel like it's setting up the next movie to be more like a typical AI story, because when M3GAN's like, I don't belong to you anymore, I belong to me, I'm like, I guess I wish, like you said, like in Child's Play, I wish M3GAN could have said something funny along like parental again. Like, no, or
started singing you. Even I don't know,
singing some line from like a cheesy song, or like, you are my sunshine, at least,
I was expecting for her to use the audio that she recorded back at the girl, but I guess they could do that at the sequel. But like, I don't know how that would have worked. Then what? Katie is like hesitant to stab her in the face. It's weird, but like that seems so important for the moment when she records her important memory. I hope that comes back again. But like, there's I think just like so many missed opportunities to make the last act more fun. And it wasn't bad. It just was kind of flat. Yeah. Like RC Cola or something.
Yeah. So
what did you think of the entire thing? Because for me, it's less of me being excited that it's a horror movie or being scared or, raising my blood pressure or anything like that. It's more of like just the thoughtfulness, especially the thoughtfulness of the AI stuff, the big conversations in the creative communities, all of them from music to writing to art about AI. But also like to a parallel degree, it's all the way we use technology to parent and to shirk our responsibilities as human beings. Just like how we're using AI to shirk, actual talent, all that, like debatable, I don't know, but like the technology is commoditizing stuff in such a way that like we are kind of allowed to be the assholes that we want to be, but then through that we never really grow up or learn life lessons that we're supposed to.
Yeah.
Just a lot of really thoughtful shit in this movie, man.
I like it. I like this movie like I like a good Black Mirror episode. It's... I don't like it as a horror movie. It plays like a drama or a thriller. Like, it does... I love the human as observations and the thought experiment that is like, what if we had AI parent instead of us, which is already happening technically. And I think in a weird way it's like almost going like, be careful with the way you parent. You should probably not give your child so much, spend more time with your child.
It's a cautionary tale, and I like stuff like this. And it really I thought the designer woman was really believable, because I swear I've worked with people like that before. And like, it's really interesting to see like, what if we had the thing of our dreams that we don't have to parent, we don't have to do any of this stuff. And like, I'm really excited for the possibilities for the M3GAN sequels. M3GAN, I'm sure Universal's already planning to run this franchise into the ground. I think there's been a great slew of horror movies the past 10 years, lots of stuff that James Wan has done. Ouija's pretty cool, and then there's the whole Insidious universe with the Conjuring universe with Annabelle and the Nun. I don't like Universal's attempts to do the Conjuring universe. I don't think is very good, because like, though the scares are very, very, very cool and inventive most of the time, the Nun isn't very, I don't know much about her, and she doesn't feel like she has that gravitas. And like the Insidious Darth Maul thing, like, it looks cool, but like, we don't really understand what's behind it. And then Universal tried to do reboots of like their classic horror stuff, like The Mummy with Tom Cruise, which is ridiculous. Why would you spend more than $1 bajillion on a horror movie? That's stupid. But like, M3GAN really feels like she belongs with all the horror people with cool lores. Like Chucky has the whole voodoo thing. Michael Myers less so. He's just kind of crazy. He's like kind of the least dimensional out of all of them. Jason has the mommy issues and the bullying issues. Freddy is the pedo who got wronged and wants revenge from the entire neighborhood. And M3GAN is this helicopter mom robot that is invented by a person who didn't want the responsibility of being a parent. It's so like rich, it's so fucking rich. And like, the fact that M3GAN is a part of the cloud now, M3GAN will probably assemble herself a new body somehow in the sequels. I don't know what they could do, but like, there's so many things I could imagine. And like, she has such a great personality. She is so cool. She reminds me of Gladys from Portal. Like, she seems like a real legit character, unlike the Nun, unlike any of the villains in Insidious, unlike Ouija, whatever. This is like the first time I've seen a villain that I'm like, whoa, you're cool. I can't wait to see more of you. I can't wait to see people dress up like you for Halloween. Oh yeah, M3GAN's like the dopest horror villain in a long time.
I just realized as you were talking, M3GAN's very like Frankenstein.
Right, when I was describing like the whole like she created M3GAN, Gemma created M3GAN because to do a thing, I'm like, oh yeah, it is sort of like the story of Frankenstein.
Yeah.
And it goes haywire like Frankenstein's monster. Yeah. It's pretty cool.
I was thinking before, I was like complaining about Avatar, as I do. And I was just like, I've been noticing
Avatar was saved by China. Don't fucking lie. That shit. I want to see the domestic numbers here, bitch. I don't give a shit how much money you made worldwide. How much did you make in America? I don't know. Nobody will tell us.
Yes. Like
I wonder why.
And no one will say where the money's coming from. Like
it's funny that no one will say where the money's coming from.
They're just like, oh, the number is so big, but forget the fact that like it needed all that just to break even. But like, whose money are we getting?
Yeah,
like,
who are we catering here? It's not the Americans, that's for sure.
I was talking about Avatar because I'm noticing this thing that if we cater to foreign countries like that, with the only way you get like a worldwide release like this is if you have a movie that's big, the brand is big enough where a worldwide audience is going to care about it, like Avatar, because the first one did so well.
Transformers.
Yes. Marvel movies, James Bond movies, Fast and the Furious.
All international hits.
Mm-hmm. You typically don't get movies like Babylon or whatever smaller no-name movie, without like a brand attached to it, with a worldwide release, and it's not gonna get that big publicity that like, oh, it made $1 billion something worldwide because Chinese people know it or whatever, which is unfortunate because that means what is going to be released worldwide are only brand movies, and it's only going to be sequels. And that's a problem when I'm noticing there's like a decline in interest in sequels. Decline as in like not by much so far. Like when you're looking at millions and billions of dollars worldwide, it's hard to like quantify. But like, for example, Black Panther 2 didn't make quite the big splash as the first Black Panther. So I'm feeling, especially you look at like the domestic box office for a lot of these sequel movies, it feels like the audiences are getting really tired of these movies, of all these sequels, of like these really predictable movies. And I was saying like, we need more beginning of franchises, not sequels. Like we need more creative ideas that come, and the only way that happens is when you get things like Babylon, is when you get like original IPs and low budget catered towards the domestic market, because it has to do well domestically for it to eventually have the brand recognition to go worldwide. So I'm really excited that things like M3GAN are happening.
Yeah, M3GAN looks like the start of a franchise, a big fat franchise.
Yeah, because that's the only way we can move forward from this. Like, I'm so sick and tired of these sequels catered towards a worldwide audience, which I've noticed too, like a lot of the times people making movies in America for Americans, but also for a worldwide audience, might not translate. Like, I'm not entirely sure the Chinese people understand what's happening in Avatar and some of the like politics involved in it. Like, I think they just like the visuals.
Oh, it's so cool.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
So, like, and then there's certain things, like in Marvel movies or in Pixar movies, that like the politics, especially the like gender politics or the woke politics, definitely does not translate in places like China. And I go like, this is silly. This entire thing is silly, to be like making movies for worldwide audiences but with American sensibilities, and it just doesn't work. Meanwhile, but like I understand when like something like Fast franchise movie works, or
family and fast cars. I mean,
yeah, or like a James Bond. Like, I understand that.
Cool spies, not very hard to understand.
Yeah, especially when there's not too much like culture war, political stuff in it. but like I have been craving something like M3GAN for a really long time. Like, I want movies to cater towards us Americans, people who like go to the movies, like die-hard film people like us, for a while, and it just hasn't. Other than like, you know, the last Ghostbuster movie or something felt
Top
very
Gun.
Top Gun
especially.
And
It's
but
a
like
movie for us.
yes, because it needs to do. I really believe it needs to do well here for it to do well everywhere else later on. If you want if you want a new franchise, because all your franchises are slowly dying, I think that would be my advice. But what the fuck do I know? If you like this episode, like, subscribe, jingle all our bells and buttons, check out all our other episodes here, and we'll see you next time.
Bye bye.